What year do you think, which of these three policies is going to cover the house that was sold then that we were sued on here? Who thinks number 3? Okay, so I got a few hands. All right. How about number 2? I see a hand. That's good. At least somebody's going out here. How about number 1? By a majority, number 1.
Because I look the best.
However, that's true. I don't know. It's hard to say that. She's up here.
No, I meant compared to Ron.
Yeah, I'm partial. Actually, the answer is unequivocally not number 1. And that is why, not that you're not the most handsome or anything like that, it's just that the policy doesn't. In reality, and this is why we stress it, because that's the way almost every insurance policy works, is that usually when you do something, if you get sued on it, that's the policy that covers you. E&O is different. The reality is, the answer is I can't tell you specifically because it depends upon the definition of a claim and the policy. It could be that we got a verbal complaint and a demand for money, so it potentially could have been here. It's unequivocally here if we haven't tendered the claim back there. So the reason that I tell you that is just because it's very different and it's very counterintuitive and nobody really tends to get it. And I can tell you this. We're the CAR endorsed insurance broker. We work with over 600 clients around the state of California. We've met with countless others. Most brokers don't understand this, and I will say you guys are actually better than most. I take 90% of the agents that we talk to get this wrong and don't understand it. And that's just, to me, that's really important because you need to understand that what we did, so if I get sued today, if we get sued in this next year, and this is why we're going to stress what the current policy is, we need to make sure we're covering everything that we've done as South Bay brokers and all the agents that have worked here in the past and present from this point forward. So this policy becomes really important. What do we have today when we actually get sued? Or it could be here. Okay? So with that, I will let you guys sit down, and then we'll dive right into it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job.
That was hard, wasn't it? Hey, Dave, you should be a model holder next
I think a hand model, though. I gave you a gift card. Come on.
I've been insulted by a lot nicer guys than you.
Yeah, I can agree that. All right. So we just covered kind of how does it actually work, and it's really counterintuitive, and that's why this is important. It's why we're bringing it to you guys' attention, and I applaud the leadership of your company because a lot of people they actually don't want people to know at some level how it works. Let me give you a quick overview of what the program is and the way the program works. We're the same insurance company we were last year, which is Ace American. It's one of the strongest financial companies, one of the leading writers of E&O in the state of California. They're an A-rated insurer, strong financial assets. We have $1 million per incident, $1 million aggregate. And then we have a $25,000 deductible. That's the same as we've had. However, you can reduce that deductible by 50% by the use of a home warranty from specific home warranty companies. American Home Shield, Fidelity, Old Republic, and First American. So I know it's policy. Here's another reason why we want to do it. So you've got double incentive, or you can have these guys jumping on your back or actually not getting paid for the transaction. So important thing to remember. So an E&O program, here's one of the other things that's unknown about most E&O policies, is each policy that you buy, each company offers a different product. It's kind of like buying a house in a neighborhood. Who knows what you get until you actually get in. With these, a typical E&O policy it will cover you for residential sales. Typically, they may have to carve back in commercial. They may have to carve in some of these other things, property management, business opportunity, escrow, those kinds of things. They specifically have to be added to the policy. So we spent a lot of time talking about the history. Because remember we talked about the policy in effect today has to cover everything we've done. So for example, one of the things that's on here we're covered for is property management. It's not because that's something you guys can do currently. You can't. Okay? But it's been done in the past. So we need to make sure that we have coverage today in case we get sued. And that's smart. But procedurally, it doesn't make any sense risk management wise. This organization says we're not doing property management, don't do it here. And I would even say with business brokerage opportunity, it's a very unique area, very fraught with potential liability. And I'd make sure that if you encounter something like that, you go to the leadership team and make sure you get walked through that. There's a lot of pitfalls, there's a lot of liability related to financials, taxation, and other things that if you don't do it right, you're going to get sued. And it's not going to be pretty. Sale of agent-owned properties, we're going to talk a little bit more in detail on that. That's another big, frequently misunderstood with the way the E&O policy works. A couple other things I'll hit on is things not covered. Mortgage, formation of syndicates, REITs, partnerships. Anytime you start to get into complex deal structure, that's not your core competency. You need to step away, and candidly, every E&O policy will exclude that unless specifically carved back in, and hardly anybody ever wants to. And also appraisals. BPOs, on the other hand, are something that would be, because it's not a full-blown appraisal. All right, so let's talk about agent-owned properties, and this is, the bottom line is there's hurdles, and you need to understand the hurdles. And part of the reason I want to share this is because we're going to, we'll do, when you start with a basic E&O policy, every E&O policy will start and say, anything that an agent owns is not covered. I don't care if it's a purchase, I don't care if it's a sale, I don't care if it's a lease, it's not covered. Except, now we'll carve back certain circumstances where you can do it or you can have somebody else represent you in a transaction. So that's really important. And I will tell you, as I go around the state, I sit down with a lot of brokers and I say, so what does your agent-owned coverage provide? Oh, we're fully covered for everything. Really? And they're not. And most of the time, they have no idea what they're actually covered for. So there's a lot of misnomers, and I hear, because it's a very competitive industry, oh, we have the best, we have the highest limit coverage. Well, guess what? If you don't know the details of that policy, it doesn't matter how good it is. Because if you're not insured for the type of transaction that you think you are and you get sued, it really didn't do you any good. But here we spend a lot of time focusing on it. So what are some of the carve-backs? Some of the carve-backs, and this is the one that we're going to strongly recommend, and I understand is policy around here, where another, and this is a residential sale. That's a 4-unit or less. Another agent represents the owner agent in the transaction. So the surest way of getting coverage is to have another agent represent you in that transaction. And there's lots of different nuances as to how you do that. The one thing I would tell you is don't co-list it, don't put your name as second in the MLS, all those things. I think that that's fraught with problems. What you guys do on the side, that's up to you. I just wouldn't put it in the public domain. A second one is an agent owns the property for 180 days. Now in this instance, you can actually represent yourself. So again, this is more covering historical because it's not the current company policy, but you need to understand it also has certain circumstances where it says, but to do so, you have to have a signed seller disclosure, home inspection, zone disclosure report, standard sales contract, and a home warranty purchase. And there's a lot of very specific provisions, which is on this page, which you'll see. So that is an or. But the reality is, again, we're going to encourage you to get another agent to list it. Any questions so far? Or have I completely confused you already? I hope not.
Are you going to say why?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, the third one is any real property. So now this gets into commercial, where all the agents on a combined ownership basis own less than 25% of that particular property. So if you own 25% or more, we don't have coverage. So again, these are these little carve-outs, nuances that you need to be aware of. And this again deals with real property, so it's commercial or residential. Now, candidly, we're working and we're pushing the insurance companies to try to open this up to lots of other transactions and broaden it further. And slowly but surely they're starting to come there. But they're not there yet. And the reason we point this out is because this stuff is changing every day. It changes year to year. So the point being is almost every E&O policy will automatically cover you if somebody else lists the property. So at a bare bones minimum, that should be the standard on the policy, and that's what you